in the far reaches of the galaxy, where star systems stretched endlessly and civilizations thrived amidst the cold void, a quiet tension lingered. Among the many species vying for dominance and survival, humans were considered insignificant, a fragile, soft-skinned race with little to offer in strength or technology. Yet, they had a peculiar resilience, a stubborn defiance that intrigued even their staunchest critics. Across these celestial territories, one name evoked universal dread: the alien dragon. This was no mere beast, but a living weapon of mass destruction. Its gargantuan body shimmered with scales that absorbed light, making it seem like a void in space itself. Jagged spikes lined its back, pulsating faintly with an ominous glow, and its piercing eyes burned like molten stars. Tales of its wrath were told across planets. Ships torn apart, colonies annihilated, entire armies crushed beneath its claws. This creature represented death, chaos, and the apex of fear itself. For centuries, countless attempts had been made to contain or kill the dragon. Advanced alien races unleashed fleets armed with the deadliest weapons, yet all efforts ended in ruin. The dragon could not be defeated. It was an entity that transcended mere biology, a creature that existed on the fringes of myth and nightmare. It wasn't just a predator. It was a force of nature, an embodiment of destruction. The name of the alien dragon became a whispered warning, a reminder of the limits of power and ambition. Among the coalition of alien species that governed large swathes of the galaxy, a secret project had been underway for decades. The goal was audacious: to capture the dragon alive. After years of catastrophic failures, a breakthrough finally occurred. Using advanced gravitational traps and bait harvested from the dragon's native world, they managed the impossible. The beast was captured, chained, and brought to a heavily fortified facility on a barren planet, far removed from any inhabited systems. The facility itself was a marvel of alien engineering. It sprawled beneath the planet's surface, its corridors pulsating with energy fields designed to withstand even the dragon's rage. Hundreds of scientists, soldiers, and engineers worked tirelessly to study the creature. Yet, even in chains, the dragon was a terror. It thrashed against its restraints, emitting low growls that reverberated through the walls like thunder. Despite their precautions, fear hung thick in the air. No one doubted that if the beast ever broke free, nothing could stop it. It was into this volatile setting that the human girl arrived. No one quite understood why she was there. To the aliens, her presence seemed absurd. She was small, delicate, and utterly unremarkable. Barely 7 years old, with wide eyes and a quiet demeanor, she seemed more like a lost child than someone worthy of standing in the shadow of the galaxy's greatest terror. Her clothes were simple, her demeanor unassuming. She walked with a calmness that was almost unnerving, as though oblivious to the danger surrounding her. The aliens dismissed her outright. She was irrelevant, a curiosity at best. Why would anyone bring a human child to a place like this? Some speculated it was an oversight, a mistake in the bureaucratic tangle that often plagued interstellar coalitions. Others whispered of political maneuvers, wondering if the humans had sent her as some sort of experiment. Whatever the reason, no one expected her to last long. The dragon, too, took little notice at first. Its fury was directed at the aliens who had captured it, at the machines and barriers that bound its immense power. The girl was an insignificant speck in its massive, predatory world. But something changed the moment she stepped closer, wandering past the guards who were too stunned to react in time. The room seemed to grow quieter, the air heavier, as though the universe itself was holding its breath. There was an undeniable innocence in the girl's presence. She didn't flinch as the dragon's fiery eyes fixed on her. Her small frame seemed to glow faintly in the dim light, a fragile beacon amidst the shadows of fear and hostility. She took slow, deliberate steps, her expression calm but curious. Unlike everyone else who had ever encountered the dragon, she wasn't afraid. The alien guards exchanged anxious glances, their hands hovering over weapons that they knew would be useless if the creature decided to attack. The scientists muttered urgently into their comms, debating whether to intervene. But the girl continued forward, unbothered by the chaos her presence had stirred. In that moment, the stark contrast between the two became undeniable. On one side, the galaxy's most feared predator, an unstoppable force of destruction. On the other, a tiny human child, vulnerable and utterly fearless. It was a juxtaposition that defied logic, a meeting that no one could have anticipated. The room was filled with tension so thick it was almost suffocating. The dragon's growls deepened, its claws scraping against the floor in warning. Yet the girl remained steady, her gaze unwavering. She reached out a small hand, her fingers trembling slightly, but not with fear, with determination. The guards held their breath, expecting the worst. Scientists prepared for catastrophe, their instruments lighting up as the dragon's energy level spiked. And yet, nothing happened. The beast froze, its massive frame taut with restrained energy. Its glowing eyes locked onto the girl, as though trying to comprehend what it was seeing. The silence was deafening, broken only by the faint hum of the facility's energy fields. In that moment, the galaxy's deadliest creature faced the smallest, most fragile being it had ever encountered. And for the first time, the invincible dragon hesitated. Something profound had begun, though no one could yet understand it. The girl's presence had shifted the balance, not through force or fear, but through something far more unexpected. In a galaxy defined by power and survival, this tiny human had introduced a variable that no one, not even the dragon, could predict. The atmosphere in the facility had shifted dramatically after the girl's unexpected approach to the dragon. Despite its reputation as the deadliest creature in the galaxy, something in its demeanor changed as the child drew closer. The beast, which had previously thrashed violently against its restraints, fell eerily still. It wasn't submission, nor was it an acknowledgement of authority. It was something far more complex, something no one observing the encounter could yet comprehend. The guards, previously rigid with fear, now hesitated. Their weapons, though always at the ready, were momentarily forgotten in their hands. Scientists and researchers scrambled to document the unfolding moment, their instruments picking up unprecedented readings. The dragon's energy patterns were erratic, but noticeably calmer than anything recorded before. It wasn't just restraint. It seemed to be reacting to her presence on a level no one could articulate. The girl moved closer unhurried, her small figure dwarfed by the sheer size of the beast. The dragon's glowing eyes followed her every step, not with the predatory focus it had directed at everyone else, but with something that bordered on curiosity. The air was thick with tension, every onlooker anticipating disaster, yet unable to look away. This fragile human child stood in the presence of a creature that had devastated planets, and for the first time, it wasn't showing any signs of hostility. As she reached the edge of the containment zone, the dragon shifted slightly, its massive head lowering to her level. The movement sent a shudder through the facility, a visceral reminder of the immense power it possessed. Yet, instead of recoiling, the girl extended her hand. It was a simple gesture, one that defied the instincts of every being in the room. Her actions weren't calculated or driven by any form of logic. They seemed purely instinctual, guided by something no one else could perceive. The dragon's head tilted slightly, its nostrils flaring as it inhaled deeply, taking in her scent. For a moment, time seemed to freeze. The girl, unfazed, moved even closer. Her small hand reached up and brushed lightly against the tip of the dragon's nose. The act was impossibly gentle, a stark contrast to the creature's ferocious nature. Then, in a moment that would defy every expectation, she leaned forward and placed a soft kiss on its scaled snout. The room erupted into chaos. Alarms blared as sensors detected an intense spike in energy levels from the dragon. Guards raised their weapons, shouting orders to secure the area. Scientists panicked, fearing the worst as their instruments went haywire. And yet, the dragon didn't react with aggression. Instead, it emitted a low, resonant sound that reverberated through the walls, a sound that no one had ever heard it make before. It wasn't a growl or a roar. It was softer, almost melodic, and carried a strange, unexplainable warmth. The onlookers were stunned into silence. The girl remained where she was, her hand still resting lightly against the dragon's nose. The creature, which had been an uncontrollable force of nature, now appeared calm. Its breathing slowed, the fiery glow in its eyes dimmed, and the tension in its massive body seemed to melt away. It was as though the dragon had undergone a transformation, one that no one could have predicted. Theories began circulating almost immediately. Some speculated that the girl possessed a unique, unquantifiable ability that allowed her to connect with the creature on a primal level. Others suggested it was a fluke, an anomaly that defied explanation. A few even whispered about ancient prophecies, though such ideas were quickly dismissed by the more pragmatic minds present. Whatever the reason, one fact was undeniable. The girl had done something no one else in the galaxy had managed to do. She had bridged the unbridgeable. The dragon's behavior continued to baffle its captors. Where it had previously lashed out at anything that came too close, it now showed an almost protective demeanor toward the girl. When a nervous guard attempted to approach her, the dragon emitted a warning growl, not the furious roar it had used before, but a measured, deliberate sound. The message was clear. She was not to be harmed. Attempts to analyze the situation yielded little clarity. Alien scientists ran every conceivable test on the dragon's containment zone, searching for environmental factors that might explain the shift in its behavior. They also scrutinized the girl, though from a respectful distance, trying to determine if there was something unusual about her physiology or behavior. No anomalies were found. She appeared to be an ordinary human child, yet her presence alone had accomplished what decades of advanced research and countless lives had failed to achieve. The event sparked heated debates among the aliens. Some argued that the dragon's newfound calmness presented an unprecedented opportunity for study. Others feared that the creature's apparent attachment to the girl made it even more dangerous. If the dragon were to escape, they reasoned, it would likely take her with it, and no one wanted to imagine the consequences of such a scenario. Meanwhile, the girl remained oblivious to the chaos she had caused. She didn't seem to comprehend the magnitude of her actions or the fear she had dispelled in the hearts of those around her. To her, the dragon wasn't a monster or a weapon. It was simply a creature, one that had been hurt and misunderstood. She treated it with a kindness that defied the cold logic of the galaxy's warring factions. The bond between the two deepened quickly. The dragon began responding to her voice, its massive head following her movements like a watchful guardian. It even allowed her to touch its scales, something no one else had dared to attempt. The child's innocence and unshakable calm seemed to act as a bridge, connecting two worlds that had always been at odds. As the hours passed, the alien captors were forced to reevaluate everything they thought they knew about the dragon. Its behavior suggested a level of intelligence and emotional depth that had previously been dismissed as impossible. The idea that this creature, a living embodiment of destruction, could form a bond with a human child was both exhilarating and terrifying. The event was a revelation, but it also raised troubling questions. Was the girl's presence truly the key to pacifying the dragon? Or was this a temporary anomaly? Could this bond be replicated? Or was it a one-time phenomenon? And perhaps most importantly, what did this mean for the future of human-alien relations? The answers were unclear, but one thing was certain. The galaxy would never see the alien dragon in the same way again. The dragon's transformation, catalyzed by the girl's unexpected act of compassion, sent ripples of astonishment throughout the facility. What had once been an untamable force of destruction now displayed signs of profound change. Its fierce demeanor, characterized by relentless defiance and hostility, softened in ways no one could have foreseen. The beast, a symbol of terror across the galaxy, now exuded a calmness that defied its very nature. Yet, this shift raised as many questions as it answered, and the implications reverberated far beyond the confines of its containment. The dragon's behavior became the focal point of every analysis. It no longer resisted its restraints with the same fervor, though it remained alert, its gaze now fixated on the child as though she were its anchor. Alien scientists scrambled to quantify the transformation, studying everything from the dragon's energy fluctuations to its neural activity. The data revealed patterns that had never been recorded before, signals indicative of complex emotions and higher cognitive processes. It became increasingly evident that the creature's bond with the girl was not a mere coincidence. This was a connection that transcended the physical, touching on something far deeper. Theories abounded among the facility's personnel. Some posited that the dragon, long considered a biological anomaly, possessed an intelligence far beyond what had been understood. The girl's actions might have triggered dormant instincts, awakening a side of the creature that had never been observed. Others argued that the connection was purely emotional, born of the girl's unshakable innocence and lack of fear. Regardless of the explanation, one fact became clear. The dragon recognized the girl as something other than a threat. The alien leadership overseeing the project was divided on how to proceed. For years, the goal had been simple: study the dragon, harness its power, and, if necessary, destroy it. Now, that objective seemed murky. The girl's influence had fundamentally altered the equation, presenting an opportunity and a risk that no one had anticipated. Some leaders advocated for cautious observation, insisting that the bond between the two could yield insights that might benefit the galaxy as a whole. Others, however, viewed the situation with alarm, warning that the dragon's attachment to the girl could make it even more dangerous. If the creature's loyalty were to shift, or if it were to escape, the consequences could be catastrophic. As debates raged among the facility's administrators, the dragon's actions continued to defy expectations. It became protective of the girl, its every movement careful and deliberate when she was near. Guards and researchers were quick to note that the dragon seemed acutely aware of her fragility, avoiding any action that might harm her. This level of restraint was unprecedented, a stark contrast to its earlier, unbridled aggression. Even more perplexing was the creature's apparent willingness to respond to her voice. Simple phrases spoken by the girl seemed to elicit reactions that hinted at comprehension, an unsettling prospect for those who had long regarded the dragon as a mindless predator. The girl, for her part, remained oblivious to the extraordinary nature of her relationship with the dragon. She treated the creature not as a monster, but as a friend. Her interactions were marked by a simplicity and sincerity that no amount of training or strategy could replicate. This unassuming approach seemed to resonate with the dragon in a way that no weapon or force field ever had. It was a dynamic that challenged the very foundations of how power and control were understood in a galaxy defined by dominance and survival. Outside the facility, news of the event began to spread. Whispers of a human child taming the galaxy's deadliest creature ignited debates among the broader coalition of alien species. Some viewed the development as a miracle, a testament to the untapped potential of humanity. Others saw it as a threat, proof that even the most fearsome beings could be influenced by the unpredictable nature of humans. The implications were staggering, touching on issues of diplomacy, security, and the balance of power between species. Within the facility, the bond between the girl and the dragon continued to deepen. Observers noted subtle changes in the creature's behavior, signs that it was adapting to its new reality. It displayed a level of patience and attentiveness that had never been recorded before, as though it had found purpose in its connection to the girl. For the scientists studying the phenomenon, these developments posed both an opportunity and a challenge. The dragon's transformation offered a unique chance to explore the interplay between emotion, instinct, and intelligence in a being that had long been considered beyond understanding. Despite the progress, tension simmered beneath the surface. Many within the facility remained wary of the dragon, its history of destruction impossible to ignore. The girl's presence, while undeniably impactful, was also a source of unease. What if the bond was temporary? What if the creature reverted to its former state? These questions loomed over every decision, casting a shadow over the hope that the girl's actions had inspired. The alien leaders faced a difficult choice. The dragon's transformation, while remarkable, was still an unknown variable. Some argued for its immediate destruction, warning that the risk of allowing it to live outweighed any potential benefits. Others advocated for further study, believing that the girl's influence could unlock new possibilities for understanding and cooperation. The girl's safety was another pressing concern. While the dragon had shown no signs of aggression toward her, the possibility of a sudden shift in its behavior could not be ignored. Amidst this uncertainty, the girl and the dragon remained inseparable. Their connection, unexplainable as it was, stood as a testament to the power of trust and compassion in the face of fear. It was a bond that challenged preconceived notions, forcing those who witnessed it to question their assumptions about strength, intelligence, and the nature of the unknown. The dragon, once seen as an unstoppable force of destruction, now represented something far more complex, a being capable of change, guided not by fear or dominance, but by a bond born of innocence and understanding. As the galaxy watched and waited, the story of the girl and the dragon began to take on a life of its own. It became a symbol, a reminder that even in the darkest corners of the universe, there existed the potential for connection and transformation. The implications of their bond remained uncertain, but one thing was clear. The encounter had changed not only the dragon, but the very fabric of how the galaxy understood itself. The galaxy's collective perception of the alien dragon was shattered, replaced by a mixture of wonder and uncertainty. What had once been a fearsome destroyer was now a creature that defied its own history, tethered by an unexplainable bond to a human child. This transformation reverberated far beyond the confines of the facility, stirring debates and recalibrating alliances across the interstellar expanse. The implications were as profound as they were unsettling, sparking conversations that transcended species and borders. Among the coalition of alien governments, the event was a diplomatic lightning rod. Some factions saw the girl's connection to the dragon as a beacon of hope, a possibility that even the most hostile and incomprehensible entities in the universe could be understood and, perhaps, allied with. They envisioned new pathways for peace, believing that this bond might serve as a foundation for unprecedented cooperation between species. If the dragon could be pacified, what else might be possible? This perspective gained traction among those weary of conflict and eager to explore alternatives to the endless cycles of violence that defined much of galactic history. Others, however, viewed the development with deep suspicion. The dragon, in their eyes, was still a threat, a weapon that could not be trusted, regardless of its current behavior. They argued that the creature's loyalty to the girl did nothing to mitigate its potential danger. In fact, they feared that the bond made the situation even more volatile. What if the girl's influence waned? What if she died? Would the dragon revert to its destructive tendencies? These leaders called for immediate action, advocating for the dragon's destruction as a necessary precaution to ensure galactic safety. The debate wasn't confined to political chambers. Across planets and star systems, news of the dragon's transformation ignited public discourse. For many, the story was an inspiration, a rare glimmer of possibility in a universe often defined by conflict and survival. Stories spread of the human girl who tamed the beast, evolving into a symbol of innocence, triumphing over fear. Artists, philosophers, and spiritual leaders drew parallels to ancient myths and legends, framing the bond as a testament to the power of compassion and understanding. At the same time, skeptics dismissed the narrative as naive idealism. They pointed to the dragon's long history of destruction, warning that its behavior could not be trusted. To them, the bond between the girl and the dragon was an anomaly, a temporary aberration that did nothing to change the creature's fundamental nature. These voices of caution echoed through the galaxy, tempering the optimism that surrounded the event. Within the facility, the situation reached a tipping point. The girl's connection to the dragon had rendered traditional methods of control irrelevant. The creature no longer responded to the restraints or energy fields that had been designed to subdue it. Instead, its behavior was dictated entirely by the girl's presence. This dynamic created a new set of challenges for the facility's leaders, who struggled to reconcile their fear of the dragon with their recognition of the girl's unique influence. As the debates continued, a critical decision loomed. What should be done with the dragon? Destroying it, though still an option, now seemed almost unthinkable to many. The creature had become more than a threat. It was a subject of study, a potential ally, and, perhaps most importantly, a symbol of something greater. Yet, keeping it confined indefinitely was equally problematic. The girl's presence was the only factor preventing the dragon from returning to its former state, and no one could guarantee how long that would last. The possibility of releasing the dragon was raised, a suggestion that sparked both hope and alarm. Proponents argued that the bond between the girl and the dragon could serve as a foundation for a new era of coexistence. They envisioned the dragon not as a weapon, but as a protector, a being capable of fostering unity among the galaxy's disparate species. Opponents, however, warned of the risks. The dragon's loyalty to the girl was undeniable, but its behavior beyond the confines of the facility was an unknown variable. Releasing it could lead to catastrophic consequences, undoing everything that had been gained. Amid this uncertainty, the girl remained a constant. Her interactions with the dragon, though simple, carried a profound weight. She had no understanding of the political and scientific implications of her bond with the creature. To her, the dragon was neither a threat nor a tool. It was a companion. This perspective, unburdened by the complexities of power and survival, offered a clarity that eluded those who sought to control the situation. In the end, a decision was reached that reflected the profound impact of the bond. The dragon would be released under the girl's guidance, an act that symbolized trust and hope in equal measure. The decision was not without its detractors, and the risks were acknowledged openly. But for many, the potential benefits outweighed the dangers. If the girl and the dragon could navigate the galaxy together, they might serve as a living testament to the possibility of understanding and cooperation, even in the face of fear and uncertainty. The release itself was an event of unparalleled significance. Leaders from across the galaxy gathered to witness the moment, their skepticism tempered by a cautious optimism. The girl, now regarded as a figure of immense importance, led the dragon out of its containment with a calm confidence that belied her age. The dragon, once the embodiment of destruction, moved with a grace and restraint that seemed almost impossible. As they departed, the galaxy watched with bated breath. Their journey represented not just the culmination of an extraordinary event, but the beginning of something entirely new. The bond between the girl and the dragon had transformed not only the creature, but the way the galaxy understood itself. It was a reminder that even the most fearsome forces could be met with compassion, and that even in the darkest moments, there existed the potential for connection and change.